I can show you how to play the didgeridoo, but it's up to you to put the time and effort into practicing every day. Now, to play the didgeridoo, you've got to do the dingoes. Kookaburras. A bit faster. Takes practice. Now, apart from the sounds that are done in your voice box, try and do some twang noises with your tongue. For example, kangaroo. If you imagine a kangaroo hopping down the road, it sounds like this. That's a big fella. My technique is now don't try too much, don't try too hard, just relax until you finally go. So, okay, the first step I showed you was just to blow it. Try now with the grunt sound. So you're doing three things. Watch this. Now the rhythm I'm doing there is probably a little bit too advanced. You probably noticed that at some stage when I was blowing it, I was doing a little I do a little Now, there's only so much I can show you on how to play the didgeridoo in this situation. But if you practice your breathing, practice your blowing, maybe one day we can play some didgeridoo together.